You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
I look good. I got big energy every day. Let's go!
And he is decked.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's right.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin
Herbert on the move and throws and touchdown.
Good ball, Herb.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wolldog, sitting with my buddies, Kev, Hug, and Duggan.
I missed you guys. How's it going?
Missed you guys, yes. And let's not forget Kyle, the coach, Duggan.
I don't know how to feel right now. There's so much going on. I need this. Yes. I've been waiting ever since we stopped recording last week. I was like, okay, we need another episode because I just need to talk through some crap.
Yeah.
But stay shamelessly positive.
Always. We stay shamelessly positive here at the Charger Chat podcast because there's been a lot happening. Some great pickups, and we've also had to say goodbye to quite a few people. And it's been a whirlwind. I mean, we were all pretty much anticipating not getting everybody back from last year, but
we pretty much don't have anyone back from last year.
Dude, it was a full-on firing squad to our offensive line. Like, everyone is gone.
It was a bloodbath. And
not Storm Norton. He's hanging on strong.
Storm Norton, and we'll get to it. We'll go here piece by piece, folks, and we'll start. Let's get the big one out of the way because obviously, as we released last episode, news dropped immediately.
But guys, we were safe because Jonnu Smith went. So there's no way our guy would go, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
No way he would get the same amount of money to the same team.
Impossible. What
fucking Belichick.
I told you the place I didn't want to see him going to was New England. And what happened?
Okay, let me drop the news so everybody's like, what are they screaming about?
Sorry.
Hunter Henry went to New England. And to everybody's surprise, because we saw them pick up Jonnu Smith. We thought, okay, they've got their tight end. They're good to go. If Hunter Henry goes, he'll go to some other team that probably won't pay him as much as Jonnu Smith, but whatever. And then Belichick was like, surprise, motherfucker. Like he was
surprise,
and grabbed Hunter Henry by the hair and pulled him into the deep dark shadows. So it was like, whoa, that scared everybody. We had to take a day to deal with what happened. But yes, Hunter Henry is gone.
Okay, so in the world of the cap space going down and no one spending money, this asshat New England buys two top tier tight ends.
They're blowing money out in New England. They've signed they've guaranteed $130 million this free agency, and it's only been a couple of weeks.
It's so annoying because New England, they always seem to be doing these things at the right time. All these guys that would normally not be available are available because of the money.
Correct.
They had tons of money, so now they just rebuilt their team in an instant. It's insane. It's not fair, and I'm annoyed. And I got a question, hypothetical for you. Quick hypothetical. Last time the New England Patriots had two tight ends, we had a good egg, we had a bad egg, right? We all know about them. We all remember that bad egg.
For those that don't remember, it was Gronkowski and
Hernandez. Hernandez had his own Netflix show. He was such a bad apple.
Yeah, it's not the feel-good movie of the year, by the way.
So what do we think? We think Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry is going to be that bad apple?
No, it doesn't. History does not have to repeat itself.
But if it did, the hypothetical I just proposed to you, who do you think is going to be the bad guy who's going to get a Netflix series?
No answer. No comment.
I think it's Hunter.
Ooh.
He's gone to the dark side.
It's the one you least suspect. It's the one you least suspect.
Yeah, gotta watch out.
Guy from the Arkansas. You don't know what to expect.
That's right.
He goes to Justin Herbert's birthday party and then stabs everyone in the back 2 days later. You can't trust him.
He probably stole some money from Girl Scout cookie sellers and shit.
Yeah. Let's not
he's probably on a roll right now.
Yeah, he's like, I got to get out of L.A. I got to get out of L.A. They're on my tail.
Come on now. We enjoyed him while he was here. He might come back later on in his career. You never know.
Fun hypothetical.
It's an interesting one.
If he comes back, I love you. But while you're in New England,
you're dead to me.
Yeah. You're dead to me. Shamelessly positive.
Shamelessly positively dead to me.
Unless it's about the Patriots.
That's right. I just, you hurt us, Henry. You cut us deep.
I loved you while you were here, dude.
I loved you like my son.
But good.
All right.
Riddance.
And then the next, the next knife in the gut was seeing Denzel Perryman go to the Carolina Panthers. Doggone it. Like,
This one hit hard for me, man.
This one bugged me just because of how, I mean, our social media has been explosive these past couple of years. And one of the faces that we see more often than not is Denzel Perryman. And he's
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated, folks. Stay hydrated. So to lose one of the faces that we've had in the social media presence is just, it's unfortunate because this is how we've connected with some of these players. Like, for those of us that don't go to games or, anything like that, like this is our main connection is through social media. So to lose him really was unfortunate.
It was brutal for me because we got invited to go on to that Panther C3 podcast again.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We were lucky to have Craig step in and went on with us because, all of us weren't available. And I was like already upset about it. But then we went and talked to them about this guy that we started to wax poetic about all the things we loved about him, and the more I talked about it, the more upset I got and bummed out I got.
Were they at least excited to have him?
They were like injury concern worried, but then when we started telling them all well, that's what you do when you don't know somebody. But by the end, like I saw the chat thread when we were doing it, and all the guys were like, these guys are getting me pumped for him. I'm like, you should be, because he's amazing.
Yeah,
and he's gonna
accept him with open arms.
He's just awesome, and I'm really sad that
he's one of those guys. I texted you guys once this happened. I was like, I know this is a business for them, but it's not for us.
No.
Like
it's emotional.
This is all just passion and emotion. So it's like, I understand they have to do what they have to do, but it doesn't feel good for us as the fan when they have to go, all right, go take care of business. Okay, cool. But I'm not getting paid to buy your jersey and like go to these games and stuff. So it does suck. It just sucks.
It's unfortunate. I mean, we knew that we were going to lose quite a few guys.
We knew that Perriman was coming. I knew that was going to. I knew that was going to happen.
I didn't know that.
We knew that he was a possibility. We didn't know any of these guys were guaranteed to go. We were all hoping to get Hunter. We were hoping to get Denzel.
Hunter was the shock to me.
Well, it's
the fucking birthday party, man. How do you do that to somebody?
You're not coming next year, Hunter.
You're not invited to my birthday party.
The party favor on the way out of town.
Henry.
The one that we three, at least I can say, we're also hoping to come back was Dan Feeney, and he did not. He is
Bud Heavy is. Can we all pour one out for Bud Heavy?
Pour one out for Bud Heavy, right?
We're shotgun a beer after this episode.
Gonna miss remember those? They always post the photos of the players walking into the game, and he always had his like American flag tank top on. Like I'm gonna miss that stuff. Granted, we just went from. Mullet. We just got the best center in the league, so it's an easier pill to swallow. But he was just that fun.
He was
guy
a character.
It's
like it's losing. It's like when you watch movies like Major League, and you're like, oh, that these different characters and these archetypes. Dan Feeney was the mullet dude that just like you connected with that character, and I don't know, he resonated with me a little bit more.
Him and Justin like celebrating touchdowns and like
Justin lifting him up by his man boots. That was great.
And
I loved that.
At the time of my life. But the one thing I will say about Feeney, there is one of our followers on YouTube. Every time we talk about Feeney, he's like, "What are you guys talking about? Feeney sucks." So to you out there,
you won't hear us talking about him anymore. This will be the last time.
All done. We're clear. We're good. So that's for you.
So find something else to be upset about.
We're on the same page.
No, he loves everything else. It's just the Feeney shit. It triggers him hard.
That's okay. It's okay. We've upgraded our O-line. And then we also found out Isaac Rochelle, again, one that I really wanted to come back, made his way over to the Colts. I mean, it is what it is.
They only offered him $2.5 million for 1 year.
Some of the money that these guys were getting offered, it's like, dude, we cleared all this cap space. Like, why couldn't we?
That means we didn't offer him.
I think it's the quality player that the way the league sees some of our guys. Like Feeney didn't make a ton. I think he made the most. Isaac Rochelle didn't get offered very much. So it's just kind of crazy. It's clearly
it's just
$2.5 million. It's not that. Yeah. It's not $2.5 million is not that big of a deal. Like if Chargers wanted him, they could have had him back. Right. They clearly are moving in a different direction.
Well, we're shifting scheme. A lot of guys just are kind of tweeners. So you knew there was going to be casualties. And here they are.
When you say tweener, what does that mean?
So like, does he fit into the 3-4? He's not a nose guard, right? Rochelle's not a nose guard. So he's going to have to play that defensive end in the 4-3 front. And or I mean, in the 3-4, and does he fit perfectly? And it appears that our coaching staff doesn't see him fitting.
Does
in there.
not. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna miss Mike and Ike though, right?
Gonna miss
I'm
Mike and Ike.
one.
Isaac Rochelle, Godspeed to you. We hope you do well. And
kept Mike though.
Yeah, we kept Mike.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. We're trying to get all the people that we lost. And just before we started recording this episode, we found out Sam Tevy is also going to be going to the Colts. So good luck, Carson Wentz.
Honestly, guys,
Tevy was our best lineman.
I know.
In the back of my mind, I was like, okay, the guys that we've signed, if you don't draft a tackle in the first, could you plug in Tevy and would we be okay?
Probably, yeah.
Maybe, but obviously
still better than last year.
That's not what the coaching staff wanted.
That's not happening, no.
Full wholesale changes.
Yes.
Full
big changes. So we've lost practically the entire offensive line from last year. They're gone.
Brian Balaga, Iowa.
Brian Balaga we kept. And he ain't going nowhere.
And the Quessenberry's still there, so we still got the Q on the bench.
Quessenberry's still there.
Yeah. He's still on the bench.
You can say Storm Norton's still there. You could say,
but here's the thing:
because
those guys
Lamp
are
hasn't
there.
gone anywhere yet either, right?
He's not signed it yet.
He's not signed. So here's the thing: like right now, we have 10 players on our roster, and we used to have 10 players on our roster. There's a lot of guys on here that if we draft anyone, they're going to be casualties. So this could change even more. Because I think you could pick up 2-3 offensive linemen in this draft, and then those deep bench Storm Norton type players probably aren't on the team.
That's very
once
true.
we get through the draft.
Don't speak ill of Storm Norton.
No, great name. Like his Viking vibes.
That's all I got. Great name.
No. Great name. No. Don't get
He's
me
got
wrong.
a solid
Great
name. The name can't compete.
No.
He's an XFL star, dude.
That's
Come
right.
on.
Yeah, one of the two that we have had on this team. So, all right, now let's look at some good news. Let's look at some of the people that we either signed or retained. One of the big names for us was seeing Steven Anderson come back, the tight end from last year, made some great plays with Justin Herbert, showed some possible talent out there, growing up now with Parham and now Jared Cook, who we also signed as well. And then also on the offensive line, we signed one more. It was Ode Abushi to a 1-year, $2 million deal, which we all saw that name and went, huh? Who's that?
Yeah,
and,
never heard of him.
Never heard of him. And so as we started to look in and kind of deep dive, it was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
He's kind of a travel.
Potential.
Yeah, he's been traveling a lot, and it's clearly what they're doing is finding guys that can play multiple positions, because he's played guard, he's played tackle, he's done all of it. So, some of the highlights that they put on, he played for the Lions last year. He was a physical guy, and he had a great interview that they just posted today on him, and he went into depth about his mindset, and I just like his vibes, man. I was feeling. He's like, I feel like I'm peaking. I feel like right now, last year was my best year. I feel like I'm only getting better, and I'm kind of hitting my stride. So exciting. It's one of those things where grass is always greener. We don't know who he is yet. We don't know how he plays.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, you can watch tape, and everyone that's an offensive line guy is like has high praise for him.
Yeah.
It's not as if you're watching the Lions, you're like, oh shoot, look at that left guard, he's killing it.
Yeah.
So these guys just go under the radar a lot of the times. They're not getting ESPN.
Is so dope.
Yeah. There's no like offensive line love on Sports Center where you see pancakes or anything. So
and we
you
saw
go back
some
and watch
from
some
him.
of his tape. It was impressive. Yeah.
We see
Well,
some
I'm
pancakes
excited.
from him. So that was cool.
I think the interesting thing too that it's clear, and we still have ways to go, is we talked about it maybe 5-10 episodes ago, somewhere in there, that we had out of all the position groups, we spent the lowest amount on offensive line. Like last year, we spent $18,791,301 and some 25 cents. Something like that. I don't know. I added the cents.
To give a rough estimate.
We rounded
rough
it
estimate.
up.
And the highest paid player was Trey Turner. So there's that. So this is to give you an idea of where we are right now. We still have more moves to make. We are over $10 million more have been pumped into the offensive line.
Wow.
So they clearly see the need. They clearly are on the same page with all the fans who are like, protect Justin Herbert by all means.
Right.
And the floor is even higher. Like the guys that there's not a lot of those $600,000 players, like the Ibushi is he's one of the lower costing guys, and he's $2 million. So the floor is raised on terms of what they're spending on.
Good.
Even like the backups or the utility guys. So I love to see that.
Yeah, that's what we all wanted to see. It's like, that's been kind of one of the interesting things about this offseason. We've seen a lot of teams make some aggressive moves to pick up some really big name players, and the Chargers necessarily haven't done that yet. And it's caused some mixed emotions. Like we see big name players and like, oh, we want that one and we want that one. And then they're like, guess what? They're going to the Giants or they're going to the Colts or and it's like, but wait a minute. Like we had the cap space. Like, why aren't we picking up these big guys? And honestly, it's like, because we're spending the money on the line. Like those were the guys we needed to pick up.
And here's the hardest part about being a football fan is that's what we all said we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
We all said this is what we wanted.
And now we got it. And we're like,
and now it's here.
Good enough.
And we're like, this is not fun. I'm not like hyped about these offensive line. Because it's more exciting those guys are on our team already.
Right.
We already have the Justin Herberts and the Keenan Allens and the Mike Williams and the Derwin Jameses. Like we have those guys, so we don't need to go out and sign them. There are some pieces missing. Obviously, the positions of need are slowly adjusting. They're shifting as we go. The offensive line has been solidified in huge ways already in this free agency. But what we haven't done, which I think is adding to the mood, is like we're not signing fun players and we're watching guys that we love or guys that we're loyal to kind of leave in free agency. Mm-hmm. So it's been hard. It's like
it's a mixed bag.
You boom, boom, boom line. Like, awesome. We signed some solid offensive linemen, but then you see guys you like going. You're like, oh, Casey Hayward got dropped and it created a hole at the corner. And then we let Rayshawn Jenkins sign and there's a hole at safety and we're not re-signing these guys. So it's like, it has been a very weird offseason.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is due to we solidified our offensive line, which is what we all wanted.
Exactly.
So just remind yourself
had to be
what
made.
we've done. Yes, it's not flashy, but it's efficient.
Let's remember our head coach is the wunderkind of defense. So who knows? Tavon Campbell might be the stud next year. Yeah. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, Brandon Faison might come back to be the comeback player of the year. You never know.
I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know.
All I know is that our offensive line is pretty great.
It's looking pretty solid right now. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens. There's still a lot of names floating around in free agency, guys that are still haven't been signed yet.
You're amazing. By the way, your commercial last week for the Tommy T, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Tommy. I just want to point that out. That was amazing.
Keeping shit a secret.
Keeping shit a secret. Yes, that's exactly. Those are the exact vibes that are happening right now.
No, I think that adds to some of the disappointment too, because
that's why
we
you
don't
were so
know what's
frustrated
happening
last week, Coach. Like you were like, just tell me, like, just give me a hint, give me a sign.
Yeah,
like,
because every player out there feels like we could sign him.
Right.
Like,
there's no
we
reason
just
why
don't
we
know.
couldn't, because we have the cap space. We haven't spent it yet.
So then when they sign elsewhere, you're like, it feels like we missed on him, but Tommy T didn't tell us that guy was never even in the conversation. Right. You know? Tommy.
It's all right.
Damn it.
I wonder what that Tommy T like dinner with his family's like. They all sit down and Dad just doesn't tell them anything, and they all just sit there like, Dad, what are we doing tomorrow? He's just like, I don't know. Guess we'll find out.
We could do this or we could do that.
Could we do this or we could sign another offensive
We have a lot of needs,
know.
son. There's a lot of things that need
Pass
to get
the
done
potatoes.
in this household.
Oh, you mean the carrots? Yeah. Exactly.
Pass the potatoes. You make carrots, right?
You
Dad?
make carrots, right? No, I wanted potatoes, Dad. Well, here, have some carrots.
Yeah, I'm sure he just sits at night looking at Twitter going, I would sign Harry Jackson.
Look, they're all fighting. They're all fighting. This is hilarious.
Yeah, it is what it is. This is how this team is treating it. And again, it's not flashy, but we are getting what we need. We are solidifying this team. There's still an entire draft to go through to pick up. We've got 9 picks in the draft. That's 9 players right there that could potentially, be on the team and be starting and be playing. So it's all good, folks. It's free agency's just started. There's still a lot of offseason to get through, and some big things can still happen near the end of the year. I think as the longer the free agency goes, the lower some of these guys are going to be able to, ask for as far as money. And so I think
Coupon, baby.
Coupon Telesco is going to be. Let me get my 10% off out here. My buy one get one free on cornerbacks here. Let me wheel and deal.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But also in some of the free agency news, we all found out Michael Badgley is coming back. Chargers did sign him back, so we've got 2 kickers.
To the chagrin of a lot of social media.
And we also brought back Ty Long, so we have 2 punters. So it's we've got 4 kicking utensils on this team, and we'll see who ends up making the cut, who sits around on practice squad.
Let me propose to you. This is kind of fun. So for the kicking position, Tristan Volcano Vizcano or Michael the Money Badgley, who you got?
Is this like an actual prediction?
Yeah. Who do you think's starting kicker? We don't know anything about him, so we'll forget it as soon as we say it. But
I'm going to go Volcano.
I'm going to say Vizcano, yeah.
Volcano. I'll go Volcano. All right. So punter, Lachlan Edwards. We'll come up with a nickname for him. Lachlan Edwards. I like it because it's my son's name.
Yeah, it's my nephew. Yeah, my sweet Lockie. Yeah.
I don't know enough about Lachlan.
So I don't know enough about the Volcano.
Well, we've seen we don't
know enough about anything.
Our sample size,
kickers, for God's sake.
We've got a sample size of Badgley of at least 3 to 4 seasons, right? And
not great.
And they
not
haven't been
sample.
stellar. He had 1 really good season. The rest have been to, oh God, why? Vizcano has got 1 game, made all his kicks. So it's like, all right, the ratio comparatively, Vizcano's in the lead. Yeah. So, my horse is behind Vizcano. As far as the punting game, like Ty Long, we've at least seen that he can potentially be that backup kicker should anything happen to our kicker. So like, I like a guy that's at least shown and proven to be multi-talented, at least a Swiss Army knife in the kicking category.
I want a kicker that doesn't need a backup punter to be the kicker.
For sure.
Vizcano, the Volcano.
Yeah.
Like that. I just want a guy that can punt the ball deep with no returns. And I want a kicker that can kick it through the end zone and make 35-yarders.
Either way.
And then the occasional 40
so much to ask? Is that so much to goddamn ask?
Yeah.
Enough about kickers.
At the very least, there's competition going on in the kicking department. We'll see who ends up making the grade. And as I mentioned earlier, we also signed tight end Jared Cook from the Saints to a 1-year deal, $6 million max. So, boy, Herbert's going to have a nice looking tight end that
our boy Craig is not happy.
No. You know what? It is what it is. Again, it's just obviously these guys picked him for a reason. We don't know the narrative that went behind the scenes as far as like, oh shit, we lost Hunter Henry. Fuck, we got to get a tight end. Like,
I think it's value, man. Like Jared Cook has put up a lot of.
He's a veteran in the league.
He's
been
put
around.
up a lot, but has a lot of touchdowns. Like he's a touchdown heavy guy.
Right.
So I think
his numbers have been great.
I think it goes to show like everyone was feeling Ertz, wanting Ertz. So, but you were having to give up capital to get Ertz, right?
Yeah, that would be.
Right. He's not a free agent. He has to. Yeah,
you can get Jared Cook for 1 year, $6 million. You're not locking him into anything for very long. Right. So this is
a 1-year deal.
Guess what? Our quarterback last year made undrafted free agents look like insane superstars. Right. So here's a chance for that to happen with Jared Cook, and he's already been good.
Right.
He's already been good on New Orleans. He's already been good at Green Bay. He's already been good on the Raiders. Like he's a seasoned guy. So I think the interesting thing, and we'll lead if you're cool jumping off this, is that everyone was really upset by this because I think we all get this idea of like you hear these names over and over again. You hear Ertz over and over again. How great Ertz would be. Ertz. And then when you hear another name, you're just pissed off because you can be, right?
Right.
So I was a little annoyed with how upset everyone was. And I'm like, guys, we got to find something positive. Like he's been in the league for a long time for a reason.
Right.
You know, he is a good tight end. So I threw out a tweet. It was, I challenge everyone here to say one shamelessly positive thing about Cook. The best reply gets a shout out on the next episode. Go. So we got a lot of responses.
Great responses.
Shamelessly positive stuff.
Oh, it was great to read. It was great to scroll through them. I think we all have a favorite that came up here. For me, my favorite was just, it's Karen. I mean, Karen's quoting Chris Hayre, but at least stating that over the last 3 seasons, only Travis Kelce who had 26 touchdowns, has more receiving touchdowns among tight ends than Jared Cook, a big get for the Chargers. So that includes every other tight end that's available right now. Jared Cook,
Zach Ertz,
has the most receiving touchdowns. I mean, that's a fact. So I'm all for the guy that we just got that is the offensive rookie of the year, who's going to be dropping dimes, to drop a few into Jared Cook's pocket, if you know what I'm saying. So,
right.
What was your favorite, Coach?
Yeah, my favorite was Junior. Junior said, guy's name is Cook because he be Chef Boyardeeing people in the end zone.
That was dope. That was a good one.
Spicy. I like it.
No,
I did want to point out one extra thing, too. Like, is Hunter Henry better than Cook? Yes. I think everyone would agree, yes. Hunter Henry is getting paid $12.5 million a year.
Right.
Is
Cook
he $6 million better than Cook? Is he $6 million better?
The roster build, you have to build a roster somewhere. So if you're wanting a Pro Bowl tight end, then we probably missed out. If you're wanting the best all-around roster, I think we got a pretty good deal on a 1-year, $6 million deal with Cook.
100%. Which one was your favorite there, Hug?
Well, I got one and I got an honorable mention. Okay. Mine was Zach Whitaker, the real Tone Diggs. He said, if people don't like the fact if his stats are still better than Hunter Henry and that we need a veteran for the young guys and Herb, then maybe they will like the puns of cooking chicken parm with Herb.
Ooh.
Zinger.
Bada bing. Love
Good
it,
one, Zach. And then we had a shout out from one of the other podcasts over the Guilty as Charged. Tyler Schoon just said, I want to kiss him. And
I want to kiss him.
He just wants to kiss
And we
him.
support you.
We support you and everything that you guys do over there at the Guilty as Charged podcast. So I hope that happens for you one day, Tyler.
One of these days.
Yeah.
Laying a big old wet one on his cheek. Yeah, I think these have all been great pickups. Yeah, they're not as flashy as we wanted them to be, but we're building a team now with fresh new coaches. Like, we don't know what these coaches are capable of. They might be taking these guys and really performing quite well with them. We don't know, because this is going to be a totally brand new season.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say thanks for everybody that replied to that. It was very refreshing, and then we kind of got the steam rolling on positivity. I saw one tweet like, "Why is everyone all positive on Cook all of a sudden? Like, what's going on?" I'd like to think we had a little something to do with it. You're welcome.
So excellent. All right. Well, thank you,
Maui.
Yeah, thanks,
Maui.
All right.
Thanks,
now
Rock.
Let's take a look on over to Coach's Corner. And we reach into our Boltfam question to see if there was one that particularly interested the coach, and there was. And as we reach down in there, we find Brooklyn Bolt Up. Congratulations, buddy. Coach is going to take a look at your question and get all up in its business. So he's got a question. It goes a little something like this. Here we go.
What impact do you see Jerry Tillery having in Coach Staley's scheme? Does his time working as 3 tech under Bradley help prepare him for being a 3-4 end?
All right, Brooklyn, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So there's a couple of things. So just to kind of lay the groundwork, as far as a 3 tech is concerned, what that means is your alignment on the offensive line is your technique. So if you're a 0 technique, you're head up on the center. If you're a 1 technique, you're outside shade of the center, so on and so forth. All of the odd numbers are outside shades. All of the even numbers are head up. So a 3 tech is an outside shaded defender on the guard. That's all that means. That means your alignment is on the guard. What you see a lot of is you're that inside pass rusher type of guy. You're not doing a lot of elaborate speed around the edge, around the tackle type of dip moves and all that fancy stuff that we see people doing drills on. 3 techniques are kind of big bruisers. They're not nose tackles like our Linval Joseph plays a 0 or a 1 technique. Those are big boys in the middle. They are clogged. They want to take up blockers and be big boys. 3 techs are kind of that in between. And that's what he was brought in to do. Everyone remembers when we drafted Jerry Tillery, he was supposed to be that pass rush from the inside. Mm-hmm. We had Ingram, we had Bosa on the edge. He was supposed to be that guy that brought pressure from the inside to force the quarterback out. We haven't really seen that a lot. We saw a little bit of it improving this year. In all honesty, I don't see he is a true 3-tech. He wasn't an edge guy that converted to a 3-tech and got some exposure in Gus Bradley's defense. He's a 3-tech guy. So he did run a little bit of 5-tech or defensive end in a 4-3. He did run a little bit this last year when we had guys hurt. But I think it's gonna be a difficult transition for him. It's a different responsibility playing outside. Although we did hear Coach Staley say that we are gonna have some of that over under fronts, meaning you have a 3-tech one way or another sometimes based on the fronts that we see and the defenses or the offenses that we match up with. But I honestly don't see our transition to a 3-4 being a huge opportunity for Jerry Tillery. We drafted him as that 3-tech inside pass rush kind of guy. Now, maybe that's just all he's been waiting for, and this is what he needed, and that's what I'm hoping as a shamelessly positive Chargers fan. But I honestly don't think this is going to be that huge thing that catapults him off, because he's not a nose guard, definitely not a nose guard. And I think he's going to have to work at a lot of stuff to be that 4-tech/5-tech in our new 3-4 scheme. Any questions from my co-host?
So
perfect. I answered it. Awesome.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
So do you see him getting a lot of playtime then, if that's the case?
No, I kind of see him getting phased out.
Wow.
Yeah, I just don't, and I may be way off. He may be able to bump out and do a great job on the outside. I just don't. I don't know if he fits that. Like, I think Joey Bosa is going to be a killer
beast
4-tech, 5-tech in this new scheme, because you put him in a 4-tech or head up on the tackle, and then you bring an outside linebacker off the edge. What do you do with those two pass rushers? Those dynamic, move around, get after the quarterback type of guys. Tillery's not that guy. Tillery's kind of built to be that 3-tech. I don't know. To my opinion, a 3-tech is just kind of a blah guy. You know, Tillery doesn't have that dynamic ability to play outside on a tackle. But we'll see. I think this is the phase out of Jerry Tillery. Wow. I think if he was on a bigger deal, he's one of those guys you see get cut. He's still on his rookie deal, so I think they're hoping for the best and seeing if he can make a change. But I don't think this is a great move for his tenure with the Chargers.
Wow. Interesting. Big, heavy words. I like it.
That would be pretty massive to see our first round get phased out. Like, to be like, yeah, he's on the team, he's on the roster, he's over there, he's getting Gatorade. I mean, did you want some?
I'd love to hear what you guys. I'd love to hear what the listeners have to say. It seems like YouTube we've had a lot of engagement on YouTube, so I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys think. I'll hop on there and reply to what you guys have to say.
Coach is coming in hot.
Dialogue. Yeah,
awesome,
excellent. Well, thank you, Coach, for enlightening us on the possibility of phasing out our first round pick. Goodness gracious, I wasn't expecting that.
Hopefully, we don't have to, and hopefully, steps up and is able to get worked into the fold.
Yeah. Man, I would love to be wrong when it comes to this.
Absolutely.
I hope he just kills it.
It's an opportunity for him. It's an opportunity to show how multifunctional he might be, and if he can find a way to carve himself a niche on this defense. So thank you, Coach. All right, well, now it's time to go over to an interview. Let's see who Kevin lined up this week. Hit it!
All right, guys, we have John from Costa Mesa, our analyst. Has kind of become our official analyst for the Charger Chat podcast. Thanks for coming back on, John.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Awesome, man. So, all right, cool. So let's get into it. You've got some cool stuff for us today. Let's start off just by talking a little bit about our offensive line and what your kind of thoughts on the improvements we've made during free agency.
I mean, I've seen some stats out there about the difference between Feeney and Lindsley, and just how basically we're going from the worst center possibly to the best center.
Worst to first.
So yeah, that's always a big improvement. It's pretty rare that a guy coming off a first team All-Pro season is even available. So I feel like that was awesome. And especially knowing that like a lot of the stuff like Joe Lombardi had been doing with the Saints, they always have really good interior rely maybe a little bit less on good tackles. So it seems like that's been their focus. So I think it's kind of like smart, kind of replicating what had worked with him before, and some pretty obvious improvements. Also, getting rid of I'm blanking on his name. Trey Turner. Yeah. Sometimes
Trey Turner was the easy cut. I like Bud Heavy. I'm a Bud Heavy supporter. So
that one was a no-brainer. So it's kind of addition by subtraction, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty great. And we got a familiar face in Cook from New Orleans, which he clearly has familiarity with Lombardi. So that's kind of a no-brainer. People were looking at it like, oh, it's going to be Ertz. It's going to be this. Like, if you look deep and you look at who our coaches are, you could probably pinpoint a little closer to who we might pick up. So what do you think about Cook?
Yeah, that one made a lot of sense too. I can't remember the guy that is like our running game coordinator.
Frank Smith.
I think that, Frank Smith, and apparently he had also worked with Cook, since remember he was with the Raiders for a couple of seasons. So like, he's just like, who's got overlap with some coaches? And it seemed like was an obvious guy, because I was actually a little surprised when there was even buzz about Ertz. But yeah, obviously sad to see Hunter Henry go. It's one of those ones I get, but yeah. And I would actually see him around town. Actually, I sometimes see Chargers because I live in Costa Mesa, not too far from the facility, and he's a guy that I've seen around a couple of times. So if I run into again before, then I'll have to give my goodbyes.
Yeah, send our condolences. He's a Patriot now, so.
I know.
Bye, buddy. Have a good one. Good luck. All right, cool. So let's get into some of the stuff you've broken down and looked at. So tell us a little bit about this most recent breakdown you've done.
Yeah, so I have done two recently. I'm going to talk about the second one actually, which is about how basically PFF has claimed that because Justin Herbert's so good under pressure that he's actually going to get worse next year. Like
with
overall
protection.
He's going to be a worse player as a sophomore than he was as a rookie. And essentially the argument, it kind of goes play under pressure is less stable than play in a clean pocket. And he was ranked first under pressure and 25th in a clean pocket. So that when you put those facts together, then he should get worse because the thing he's really good at is unstable. The thing he's bad at is stable. So that's kind of essentially the argument they made.
Yeah. So what'd you find in terms of the correlation between those two?
Well, so basically, to me, actually, it sort of made a little sense, and I was kind of scared, and so I started digging into it. And the first thing I looked at is, okay, quarterbacks that are good under pressure in one season, how do they do the next season? And PFF is completely right in that they tend to do a lot worse next season under pressure. So that's unsustainable. But what the weird thing is those same quarterbacks who excel under pressure, they actually get better in a clean pocket, which is something that PFF had never accounted for. And I found this using actually their grades. So they should have been able to find this. So essentially what happens is they get worse under pressure, but better in a clean pocket. And so okay, they get better and they get worse. So what actually happens? Do they overall get better or worse? And what I found is if you look at some sort of aggregate measure, PFF grades total, regardless of whether they're under pressure or not, they actually are the same. So essentially knowing that a guy does really well under pressure or really poorly under pressure tells you nothing about how they'll do the next season. It's just okay, they'll probably do a little bit worse under pressure, a little bit better clean, but on the whole, those actually cancel out.
Interesting. Yeah. And it's just such a silly idea that he's going to get more protection and be worse. I couldn't quite wrap my head around that hypothesis.
Yeah. There's a couple things that they don't really even quite account for is he's going to get a better line. They were the 32nd ranked line.
It can only get better.
Yeah. You can't get any worse. And then B, also he's a rookie. So rookies in general are going to tend to improve. And what I found is if you limit the analysis to just rookies, just take out all the vets out of the pool of data, you find that they do have a predictable pattern, which is that they just tend to get better. But it doesn't matter whether they're rookies under pressure, rookies in a clean pocket, they just get better overall. And knowing that they excel under pressure doesn't change that prediction.
Gotcha. I wonder what if they had a stat. It doesn't exist. I know it doesn't. But a rookie in a lockdown where he's only able to study on Zoom.
I know
for his first year.
That's the other funny thing about it is it's you have a guy who's he had the worst line of the league. He not only didn't have an offseason, Burrow and Tua, they had, first team reps before they started. Yeah. Herbert didn't even have any of that. He had guys coming in and out, Allen, Williams were banged up. Henry stayed mostly healthy, but one stat that just speaks to his supporting cast is actually he threw more touchdowns to undrafted rookies than the rest of the league combined.
I love it.
So I'm just okay, so he's going to have protection. He's going to have an off season. He's going to have smarter coaches. I think who knows? Maybe he will get worse. I just don't think that that's a reasonable, put your money on it. He's going to get worse sort of prediction.
All right. So were there any other interesting tidbits of information you found when you were doing all this research?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the most illuminating things in the post is when you take out specific examples of quarterbacks who did excel under pressure, and then you look how they did the next season. And the most extreme example of that was 2014 Ben Roethlisberger, who actually had a passer rating of 120 under pressure, which is just insane. Yeah. Herbert's was 97, but he was 20th in a clean pockets. That's Ben Roethlisberger. And you look how did he do from one season to next? So 2014, Ben Roethlisberger was the third ranked quarterback by PFF. They would predict that he'd do way worse next year. He ended up being the second ranked quarterback by PFF in 2015. So It doesn't. So even their own numbers don't support the idea that they come crashing down. And actually, another interesting example of a rookie excelling under pressure is the best quarterback under pressure in 2018 was Lamar Jackson. He did pretty well in 2019, winning MVP. So
yeah, not bad.
Not exactly coming crashing down to earth either.
Yeah, I think he's going to get better in so many other ways too. And everyone's kind of really bagging on the signing of Mike Williams. And I see why you would be upset at paying so much money for this, but you got to remember, you've had very little time to work with him in the offseason, like you just said. And now with the better pocket, and there's so much more potential.
Yeah, I get the complaints with Mike Williams and everything, just because the chemistry wasn't there. But I also feel like people, forget that Keenan Allen has gotten banged up a lot. He's had multiple season-ending injuries, and you still do need a little bit of Keenan Allen insurance, even though he's proven to be pretty healthy the past few seasons. And it's just okay, maybe $15 million is an overpay, but we got a quarterback on a rookie contract. You can afford to overpay. I'd rather have him have too many weapons than too few.
Cool. All right. Well, tell us a little, just to give us a little sneak peek at your other breakdown and what you were looking at.
The other breakdown is looking at this notion that because he's having a coaching change, that we should expect again, him to be worse, because quarterbacks who undergo coaching changes do tend to be worse. But then when I dug into the data, I found out there's some problems with that argument.
Awesome. Well, we will save that for another episode. Thank you so much for coming on, John. We really appreciate it, man. And tell everyone where they can go and check out your breakdowns.
So I just formed a blog, and it's at mibpj.wordpress.com. So it's mibpj.wordpress.com.
Awesome, man. Well, we will definitely check it out. We're excited to see kind of what you found and how to combat PFF.
Yeah.
Goal,
those
man.
guys.
So, all right, brother. We'll have a good one. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you in the near future.
Awesome. Good talking to you. Looking forward to our next chat.
Our official analysis of the Charger Chat podcast. John from Costa Mesa, bringing in the hot information. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother.
That was awesome.
Brother.
Nice job.
Yeah, dude. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Stats. We know that Justin Herbert's good, and we're excited for him to be good again, but having stats to back it up just makes you feel even better.
Well, people always use stats to slam people.
Right.
So the fact that that John's doing this to look at the stats to back up just our undying passion.
Chatty. It's so
awesome.
Shamelessly positive.
I love it.
You brought a PFF gun. That's interesting. I bought myself a John from Costa Mesa gun. Kablam!
Amen.
Awesome. Thank you, John, for coming on and sharing some of your knowledge with us. And
yes, thank you for all your hard work.
Absolutely. That's no easy feat. So we appreciate the time and effort that you put in. All right. Now it's time to go on over to Fan Focus. Kevin's got another great one. Here we go.
All right, guys, we got another Fan Focus today. And today we got a good one. We got Patrick from Carlsbad. Thanks for coming on, Patrick.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, brother. So, all right, cool. You know the drill. How did you become a Charger fan?
Well, I was born north of Los Angeles, and then we moved down to Carlsbad when I was a kid. I didn't really care too much about sports back then. It was all about playing N64 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then my dad got a job offer to move up to the Bay Area, so we were up there for a little while. When we came back down, it was around 2000 or so, and my first Charger game was in that 1-15 season. Pretty sure Ryan Leaf was the starter. I really don't remember a whole lot from the game outside of Qualcomm being empty, really, really hot, and nobody was really having a good time. But it must have had an impact on me because I stuck it out from there, and have been a fan ever since, through thick and thin.
That's definitely an epic way to start, to go in like 1-15 season, and then like, all right, I'm going to stick with it. This is my team.
Yeah. Well, it kind of keeps me level because everything that, all the ups and downs, a lot of downs, it's never gotten as worse as the first time I've ever watched the Chargers. So it kind of helps me stay level.
That's shamelessly positive, my friend. I love it. Let's talk. I would love to talk about it because we're in the middle of it and things are starting to happen. How do you feel about what we've done in free agency so far? What are your thoughts?
I think, Tommy T is doing everything that really needs to be done. I just saw that right before we hopped on, Jared Cook is coming on board. I think it's a good stopgap signing. I think he's going to be better than, maybe some people think he's going to be. He's a little over the hill. I think with the draft coming up too, we can certainly think that our Hunter Henry replacements somewhere in the coming. The offensive line, of course, getting overhauled has been great with Lindsley and Feeler getting signed. So I think if you make the right pick with number 13, going with one of the tackles that's available, I think we're in a great position to let Herbie cook next year.
For sure. It's good. Like the idea that we talked about it a lot of episodes ago, like the offensive line was like the lowest amount of money we spent on any position group on our team. And now it's kind of shifting where we're getting like a lot of money is getting put on the O-line. And it looks like we're probably going to invest in a first round pick, maybe even more picks on offensive line. So yeah, there's definitely the excitement for Herbert is getting even more exciting with all these new offensive linemen coming in.
Exactly. And, the bigger thing, too, is the fact that for all these years we had, Rivers on these big money deals that was eating up a lot of cap space. And, he was certainly worth the money at the time. But this is why you see all these stud quarterbacks on their rookie deals. They have so many weapons around them because we have money to spend now. And it's really exciting to see. It's not every day that you get to go from a guy like Rivers to Herbert and to give him the tools to succeed and, hopefully bring a Super Bowl is nothing short of remarkable.
100%. Yeah. Way more toys in the toy box for Herbert. And the way we were talking about it, earlier was that, he's so good throwing to these guys that didn't even have contracts or were barely on the team, and they made him look like absolute superstars. So like the fact that, Cook had a lot of great he had a lot of touchdowns last couple years, even more than what Hunter Henry had. So I think you get him the right guys, even though he might be a stopgap guy, I think he could be really good for us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think he's going to remind me a lot of kind of how Antonio Gates played in the latter part of his career, as far as he's not going to necessarily stretch the field too much, even though he did do that against us last year when he was on the Saints. But, aside from that, I think he'll just be a good, solid option when he needs to check down or something like that. Obviously, Herbie's a smart kid, so he'll make the right decisions. So I like the signing. I think it's a good 1 year kind of arrangement.
I think it'll be good. Yeah. So what are you most looking forward to in this upcoming season?
Well, I obviously just any kind of improvement over last year. It was tough watching us lose all those games in just really, really cartoonishly embarrassing ways. Yeah. There was some kind of new way to lose every week, it seemed like. And I think, you have the overhaul with the coaching staff, obviously the free agency pickups that we've made. All the things are pointing towards this team should be good. This team should be ready to compete. I'm not, expecting some kind of in between season where maybe they go like 9-7 or 10-6 and sort of dance around the playoffs. I think they're going to be immediately good. And if they can keep themselves from charging too much, I could easily see them, going around 11 or 12 wins and making a push into the playoffs. So I'm excited, especially you guys were the reason why ultimately my buddy Alec and I decided to pull the trigger on the tickets, season tickets. So we think that we're going to see a really exciting team tear it up in Inglewood for sure.
Well, and that was my last question. We met each other really on Twitter because you had mentioned us that you guys got season tickets because of the podcast we had and how excited we were. So what was that getting season tickets like for you? Because I know we were like, it was so exciting for my brother and I to actually lock those down. Like, what was it like for you?
Well, it's wild to me that all my life growing up being a Chargers fan, especially here in San Diego, we never got season tickets. So only went to a few games, usually just watched it on TV. I'm kind of a contrarian. So when they moved to LA, I feel like my fandom almost even got stronger because everyone else was like, whatever, I don't care anymore. And I'm like, fine, I'm going to stick with them, even if they didn't necessarily stick with me. So, all of that kind of started building up, and you see like all the pictures and the videos and watching TV of SoFi Stadium and everything. We kept kind of hemming and hawing over it over the off season. And he's like, I'll do it if you want to do it, bro. But like, you got to make the decision.
That's so funny. That's exactly what my brother and my conversation was like. All right, dude, are we going to do this or what?
And so then finally we're just like, between some liquidity coming up and, some stimulus, what better way, what's more American than having the government pay for your season tickets, essentially. So
I love it.
All that hits. And we're like, all right, fine. We call them up and, they made it super easy. It was just the most exciting thing to just pull the trigger on that. And, now I can say that I'm both a Padres and a Chargers season ticket holder. Like, it's my dream come true finally at 28 years old. So I'm just super stoked. It was a lot of fun. And for him, my buddy Alec, anyway, it was fitting because he's from the Bay, but he never really cared too much about the NFL. So when he came down here, we went to college together, played baseball. He was like, well, might as well become a Chargers fan because you seem to care so damn much. So it was like, it was fitting because at the time, it was like the team without fans and he's a fan without a team. So it was fitting for him to become a Chargers fan. And now he's all on board. Perfect timing, with Herbie coming on board and everything. So it was a lot of fun. You guys really kind of pushed us over the edge because of that interview you guys did with the ticket rep and everything. And so once, because I had already talked to him once before, and I'm like, go, do the stall thing. I'll think about it. And I was literally thinking about it every single day until finally I'm like, dude, I'm going to do it. And he's like, okay, sounds good.
That's so awesome. Well, I'm glad we can help. Done. I'm glad we can help.
Absolutely. I'm sure the Chargers are happy too.
Yeah, I know for sure. And like I said, when you mentioned us, I will buy you your first $15 beer when we get there.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was great chatting with you, and we'll definitely see you soon, and we'll have a beer soon.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Bolts up, and K love you bye.
K love you bye.
Yes, Patrick.
I know, dude. Who would have thought when we started this podcast that we would have it would have helped him push him over the edge and becoming a fan because we were excited. Like, I'm so happy. I'm so
that is
man.
One addiction I'm proud to be an influencer.
100%. Who knew we would be influencers?
Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know. It was so awesome talking to him. He's such a fan, and I just love fan focuses, dude. It's like every week I do a Zoom, they pop up like, oh hi, we're talking now. What's going on? You're a Chargers fan, so I just love it so much.
So cool.
Excellent, Patrick, Alec. Can't wait to see you guys at the game. That's going to be
absolutely
that's gonna be pretty special. I can't wait to see everybody at the game. Everybody's just going to be like, oh my god, it's you, Okie doggy, touch a fellas.
Yeah. Oh my God. You're gonna be doing voices the whole game.
By the end of the game, we're like, touch a fellas. Touch a fellas.
Yeah.
Hi, how you doing? Go Chargers. Excellent. All right. Great fan focus, Patrick. Happy to have you on. All right. Now it's time to go on over to the one, the only, the Craig Experience.
And it's awesome because the Craig Experience, we got 6 weeks to the draft. We have 6 really position groups we need to look at. So Craig will officially become our draft player.
Another analyst, if you will.
Another analyst. So he's going to start looking at some position groups for us every week. So I'm excited to see what he has.
To my CC bros, salute And to the rest of the Bolt fam, what up? Welcome to another edition of the Craig Experience. And hey, let's take this one out to the back deck, man, because I think we could all use some fresh air after that first week of free agency. I mean, it seemed like a lot of us were in this Ron Burgundy style glass case of emotion. And based on what day you were checking out Twitter, you were either seeing gangster Tom Telesco memes with the do-rag and puffing on a Lucy, or it seemed like a lot of people thought the guy was practicing free agency social distancing. What we do know is that the free agency priority has been to build a wall around Jay Herbert, and we have to love that. I mean, we did go out day one, which is not necessarily like Tom, and grabbed the top either 1A or 1B guy on all of our lists in Corey Linsley. And then he went out and made some really under-the-radar signings that I'm sure are going to pay off. And, with that direction having been taken, it kind of provides us with some flexibility in the draft. Now, with that said, the pick should still absolutely be offensive tackle in the first round. I think a lot of us can still agree on that. But in the event that it isn't, we can kind of infer on some of the things that haven't been done and that we've kind of all been looking to have happen, specifically in the secondary, as it being maybe a focus that they may look at in round one. So kind of taking all of that stuff into account and being about 6 weeks out from the draft here, let's start up some draft talk, shall we? And I'll humor the situation by talking about cornerbacks. And my first guy, or actually the guy for me, CB1 in round one, is going to be J.C. Horn. I mean, we're talking about a 6'1", 205-pound dog. If you like your cornerbacks with linebacker mentalities, he's your guy. Super physical. He's more of a bump and run guy, and he's really, really aggressive with the ball in the air, and he likes to get his nose dirty in the run game. Can't ask for any more. I mean, he does have some deficiencies in off-man coverage, and, I mean, he gets a little grabby at the top of receivers' routes, but that can be worked on. And he also needs to work on his angles in tackling, but he's more than willing. And these are all things that can be, coached, and I'm not worried about them whatsoever. So that's my guy if we don't go offensive tackle. But again, we should absolutely go offensive tackle. Guys, tell me what you think about that. And if you have somebody that you have your eyes on, if you're willing to do anything outside of OT in round one, and let me know how you feel about it. But either way, got some work to do, got 9 draft picks, and free agency isn't over yet. So the cupboard isn't completely bare, and we'll just keep building upon what we have. Either way, you know what it is. Bolt ganger don't bang. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Thanks, Craig. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I think he brings up, we talk about this all the time now. It's like the shift
it's changed.
Already started. The tectonic plates of moving of our team and our roster has happened where, we're starting to fill these positions, and what do we need? I'll jump off. You guys fill in after. Like, I still feel like 100% offensive line. So I haven't really looked at too much to those guys, but I've looked at Asante Samuel. Like, I think we could trade back up and get something like that, and he'd be a great pick. His dad played in the NFL. He's a aggressive guy, played really well. I think that's kind of my pick for cornerback in this situation. And if we could, basically what we did last year, we trade up, get a Kenneth Murray. We can trade up, get him into the end of the first, beginning of the second, even move up into the second, so it won't cost as much, and then you can still get your stud tackle in the first. So that's my thought. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I like the call with J.C. Horn. To me, that's like a reach at 13. And for me to take anything but a tackle at 13. Now, this is assuming that we have the 13th pick. If we trade back, I think there's a lot of corners that pop up as potentials. But for me to draft a corner at 13, there's 2 guys. There's Farley and there's Surtain. And if it's not one of those 2, then you wait. And you pick a guy late that you can develop and possibly get at a later round that you think is a really good value. So I like J.C. Horn. I just don't see him being a Charger at 13. So if we trade back, absolutely, I trust Craig, and Craig we trust. Let's get him. But if it's maybe that's a second round guy. That's kind of projected where he might go. So in the first round, I don't see it's got to be offensive tackle in my opinion, unless somebody falls.
Yeah, I'm too also still leaning towards offensive tackle. Just seeing what some of the mock drafts are still going with. I feel like there's still a lot of big talent that's going to be around when it comes time for us to pick. And investing in a left tackle, which, as we've discussed in the past, is such a crucial aspect to the offensive line, and being able to grow with Herbert. There are still some free agents out there that could potentially fill that spot, but they're going to be asking for money. And, it's going to be a short-term contract based on how this year is going. So I don't see any free agent talent out there that's necessarily going to fill that spot. So drafting one at that 13 spot, absolutely. That's my opinion. As far as who's available in the cornerback position, like my finger is far from that pulse. Like, I have just been looking at offensive tackle because that's like my blinders are on for offensive tackle. So I definitely think cornerback is absolutely still going to be a need, but like Kyle said, and in Craig we trust. If he thinks Horn is the guy and he's around at round 2, let's make it happen. I'm all for it.
But I think there's also some guys like deeper, like, Craig has brought this guy up a lot of times, like Trill Williams. Like, he just ran a really great he ran a 4.44, 4.42 at his pro day. So there's still like these deep guys. Like, you don't have to get a round 1 cornerback to do what you need. Like, you can still get
Mike
guys
Davis
later.
went undrafted.
Right?
Exactly. Like,
I just feel like undrafted tackles don't become Pro Bowl left tackles.
No.
If you're, and I'm not saying that's the strategy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying tackles, you got to go first round. They're not just, there's not Pro Bowlers laying around in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. You got to go get your guy. And hopefully we're not drafting at 13 again in a long, long time. Now's the time to pull that trigger.
I keep saying this, and I keep thinking that I would still love for this team to give up something to go get Sewell. Like, to see what our offensive line could be, like what we have right now, and you add Penei Sewell to that would be insane. Like that.
Stop. No, this is why we all get disappointed when it doesn't happen.
Just saying,
like, all over again.
That's something that makes sense to me. If you're going to do it, like, he is by all accounts, a generational left tackle, go do it. If you find the guy, go do it. If you're uncertain about 13, but you're even more uncertain about falling back past 13, go up, go do it. So,
what are you willing to give up next year's first round?
I don't know.
We've got 9 picks to work with.
don't know.
I'm not saying that it's not out of the realm of possibility. We could definitely make
I think it's going to matter of we're jumping up a couple. You're not jumping up to like the top 3 picks. I don't think he's going in the top 3 anymore with what everyone's thinking. But if he gets into like the 9 or 10 range, I'm going up. I'm going up to get Penei Sewell if you can.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't want to think about it.
I don't know how this got on that tangent, but I was just thinking about it. My bad.
I think it's a good point because we're in
Just
free
got a little
agency
excited.
right now. We're seeing a lot of guys move around. Chargers have been the one building up their offensive line. It seems to be the most. I haven't stuck my nose in any other team's business, so I couldn't really say that for certain. But there's still names to get moved around. There's still holes to be filled. And teams that have been projected to draft some of these big left tackles, or tackle positions, I should say, in the draft, might not necessarily have that when it comes time to the draft if they can fill that in free agency. So we still have to wait and see. We got to find out what the needs are for some of those other teams as well as us when it comes to that time. Because like I said, we could potentially draft a free agent to fill that tackle position. I kind of hope not. I would rather get a young, fresh talent to kind of grow with Herbert, but we'll see what happens.
And that's not to say if we don't draft 13, there's not a good tackle out there. I think with what we've done in free agency, like, am I going to be absolutely devastated if we don't draft the tackle at 13? No, I don't think I would be anymore, but we better get one in the second round.
Yeah.
So at least Tommy T's ninja moves this offseason have at least alleviated that stress. But someone's got to fall. I think 13, someone's got to fall for us to go something else other than tackle. And Kevin, the reason that you thought of Penei Sewell is because Tommy T has us so confused. We don't even know how to stay on thought
What's
anymore.
left, what's right, what's left, what's down.
Yeah, what's possible, what we would do, what won't we do? I don't know.
Time will tell.
I don't. Where am I?
Come back to us, Kevin. It's time to go over to Ask Boltfam.
Woohoo!
And we start off with Z Lynch X, who asked the question.
Mostly for Coach, but how would you feel if Surtain falls to us in the draft, but the top linemen are off the board? Physical fast corner that would fit pretty well in Staley's system. Now with Casey gone, we need a true number 1 because Mike's great, but a solid number 2. K love you, bye.
Head paper, no.
Donkey.
What do you think, Coach? It's calling you out.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hear from us.
Yeah,
He wants to hear from
I'm
you,
piping
Coach.
down.
I love it.
I'm gonna mute myself.
This is
Go,
Campfire
Coach.
Thanks for calling me out. I like it. I addressed it a little bit in the last section with the Craig experience. I think if the top guy falls, now what we've done so far this offseason, I do think it's opened us up to maybe take a chance, but it's got to be a guy that everyone is so on board with in the Chargers organization. Because if those top 3 tackles are off, right? If Penne's gone, if Rashawn Slater, if Darrisaw, if all those guys are gone, I do see us potentially taking a reach. If one of not even a reach, if one of these guys have fallen, to scoop one of these guys up. Worst case scenario, you get trade bait, right? What was the greatest trade the Chargers ever made was we drafted Eli Manning and traded him instantly for Phillip Rivers and another pick. So it's like that is even that becomes a possibility. But I do, in my honest opinion, oh God, I feel like if those top 3 guys are off the board and there's not a position of need that there's just so many what ifs. Tommy T.
Zealand checks. You got him in his shame spiral.
I love it.
I could see us taking Surtain if he falls, but I could also see us trading back. Like realistically, I just don't know who would want to trade up into that spot. Honestly, like the QBs will be gone by then. If all the tackles are gone, like that's what we would have drafted.
Well, they can't all be gone. Like there's going to be a run on quarterbacks. There's going to be somebody's going to be available.
No, obviously at 13 there's going to be someone available. There's someone you could get at 20 still that's not going to get drafted by those teams. So like, do you move back and pick up a second rounder to still get that same guy that you would have wanted as a tackle?
Yeah.
If one of those prime guys does fall for some reason, I could see us taking the shot.
To be made. Yeah. Just I love it when you get lost in thought, and I could
I get so frustrated with all my thoughts.
Your imagination takes over, and you've already projected yourself into the future, and you're seeing it happen, and
I'm like 12 steps ahead, and I can't slow down.
All you can muster is, God, I don't.
I just don't know.
All right. Well, thank you, Z Lynch, for breaking the coach's brain temporarily. We move on now to Gnarly Ray Jepson, who asked the question. Yo, my Boltfam, my CC bros. After free agency, how opposed are you to drafting defensive needs with our first pick? With Broncos picking up Darby and Fuller, we have a better shot at Fairley or Surtain. But they also have a better probability of picking up an offensive tackle now that they address their cornerback position. Should we take either of them if they're available? I would love it if we grabbed one of them and traded back into the first and grabbed an OT instead of making a stretch at an OT pick at 13. Also, I feel like Tommy T is throwing money at our offense in free agency with hopes of having Staley develop our defense with rookies. Thoughts? Also, do an impression of Craig from Texas. That's my best Craig from Texas. Love you, bye.
We basically just covered this. Yeah, it's like there's the deep hope that we get up Penei Sewell. Probably not gonna happen.
Yeah, so I guess that's the idea. It's like I think that I would rather trade up and get the tackle that I love than trade back and get a tackle that's all right.
Yeah. Same.
You know, I'd rather give up a second than get another second.
So my question to you, with Tommy T doing all of this movement and getting rid of so many guys to fortify the offensive line, and all 4 of those positions are looking good, he's just going to be like, on the left tackle? Does that make sense?
But you kind of have to, because we have so many spots to fill now with letting everyone go.
But what I'm saying is he's gone so heavy on the offensive line. Doesn't it make sense that he might be more willing to go up and get who they want to make that offensive line studs?
But doesn't it also make sense that he's created so many other holes that he now has to fill them with multiple draft picks?
But it's going back to what you were saying, where offensive line, that is the super need. And you can still find, you don't want an okay tackle at 13.
But you also don't want an okay corner in the third round.
This is just stupid.
There's no winning.
No, I feel like I'm talking in a mirror right now. And you're even stealing my cadence and inflection too, you piece of shit. So what do you want to do? Mirror
How
mirror
have
on
these
the
guys
wall?
turned us on each other?
I don't know. Doesn't take much for you and I. But
no,
I love
we've
you.
agreed.
They're only hypothetical questions.
No, they are. But we would agree that we would rather move up and get the tackle that we love
Yes.
than trade back and get a
then let
decent
a cornerback fall to us and then trade back for another tackle.
Right.
Like I totally get the need for cornerback right now. I totally get it. But I still want to protect Herbert's
But I do
side.
think we could get a stud in that second round. I think we could get a good corner in that second round.
Yeah.
So
we got to wait and see. I think these are good points. It's obviously not our money or our decision on what happens with these picks, but I think we are all in agreement.
It's my emotions.
Yeah, it's our emotions. And emotionally, we are choosing offensive tackle in the first round at 13, unless
my heart's
we
LT.
move up.
Or higher.
Or higher. If we decide to go, can you take me higher, Tommy T? All right.
Oh, shit.
Thank you. Gnarly Ray, always good to hear from you. Next, we go on to Greg C., who asked the question. With most of the offensive line fixed, I bet we go after someone to be the opposite of Bosa on our first pick of the draft. This makes the most sense to me, as there are tight ends, cornerbacks, and O-line that can be found later in the draft. What do you guys think?
We don't know what to think. Damn it. I forgot about pass
I'm getting
rush
spiderweb
needs.
brain right now. I'm trying to connect all the dots and it's not working. But here's the thing. Everyone's saying that this is kind of a weaker pass rushing draft. So I get what he's
Except for
saying.
Russo from Miami.
Yeah, or Quiddy Pay. Like those guys are not going to get out very far. So it's not the best position group.
So you're saying pick in the first round or don't pick?
I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying there. I don't want to do that, but I could see there's some crazy alternate universe world where that does happen.
I think there are still some serviceable free agents at that position that are still floating around because, again, we still have cap to spend in other positions. And I think getting somebody in the defensive end is more viable in the free agency. Like you said, the draft pool for the defensive end rushers isn't as deep as some of these other positions. So I'd say look at free agency and see what is available there and spend your spend your draft money there in free agency as opposed to drafting.
Like Melvin Ingram?
Yeah, he's still there. How
still there,
surprised were you guys that we didn't get any of Staley's guys?
Dude,
no one from his history came. How surprised were you?
That's where some of my emotions came from because the narrative has been, especially on the coach's side, is like, okay, these guys all have a connection to Staley and somehow.
They all love
they
him.
must
Yeah,
love
yeah.
him. So the players must love him too, right?
Yeah.
No.
They love money more.
Apparently, yeah. The Joe Johnson, the Kyle Fuller. I mean, and there might still be some guys floating around out there, but those were some of the big names that we were looking at going like, hey, they got Staley on speed dial, don't they?
Man, it kind of sucks. I feel like we do have a lot.
We have a lot of needs now.
You know, we have corner, left tackle, outside linebacker, free safety, and then just depth everywhere.
Yeah.
We'll see, Tommy T. You got some.
You've got
work
some
to do, my
explaining
guys.
to do.
Pass the potatoes.
Hey, let's just say if one of those positions isn't addressed at 13, we'll be pissed. If you go
There you
like
go.
wide receiver, running back. Oh, come on, guy.
That's
A
shamelessly positive.
There's a mock draft I saw earlier that had us taking a wide receiver. And I was like, no, just no. All right.
Stop it.
Stop it. All right. Now we move on to Anchovies 21, who asked the question. Hold the pizza.
How many different football stadiums have you been to? Which one was your favorite? Which one was the first?
I haven't been to many.
I've been to 4. I've been to 5. Qualcomm, the Dignity. What was it? The last one we were at, the small one.
The
I've already
soccer
blocked
field that we
it.
played at.
Those I did. Green Bay Packers did up there. Did the Bears Stadium, and then did the old St. Louis Rams Stadium. I think
and Arrowhead.
And Arrowhead's so 6. I don't count that one. That one sucks. So my least favorite one's Arrowhead, except for this last year because we had a box, which was fucking awesome. Thanks, Randy. Yeah. The other, my favorite is SoFi. I haven't been there yet.
Your favorite is SoFi.
The favorite is the one that I've never been to.
All the other ones that kind of meld together. Like honestly, Qualcomm was like kind of the worst stadium in terms of like it was just
it had the most
concrete.
character.
No, it didn't. It was all concrete. It was like the least character.
By the way, it's gone now. R.I.P.
I know, it's so sad.
Down.
Yeah. So that, and I think Green Bay was really cool, but also,
OG.
I don't know. Yeah. I think SoFi. But in all honesty, I probably Green Bay just because they have the Hall of Fame underneath the stadium and like the tradition there, and like it's just a different kind of pregame vibe in Green Bay. So I'd say probably Green Bay, but I really want to say SoFi, even though I haven't been.
Yeah, so I've been to Qualcomm, Arrowhead, Dignity Health Sports Complex, whatever they call it. I went to a Broncos game out in Denver, which was pretty cool. And then I've been to a Seattle Seahawks game up in Seattle. Qualcomm for me, the actual stadium was shit, but like Qualcomm is Qualcomm. That's like where my Charger fandom started, and we had season tickets there, and
the memories,
so many memories there. I still remember me, Kevin, my dad being at a Chiefs Chargers game that was like a get into the playoffs. Yep, that picture right there. That. And like my dad and my brother were so pissed off because the Chiefs had a chance to win the game on a last second field goal. They were up pacing by the bathrooms because they couldn't watch. And I was sitting there by myself, and the guy shanked the field goal, and they come running down like, "What happened? What happened?" Like,
what do you mean? What happened? Where you been?
Yeah. Playoffs. So Qualcomm is my favorite so far. I'm sure there's many great memories to be made at SoFi, but non-Charger field, Seattle was pretty sick. It was really, really loud. Those guys got after it. I hate the Seahawks, but they have a pretty cool experience. Their field's right there in downtown. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've only been to Qualcomm, and I mean, originally Jack Murphy, but Qualcomm was where I went, and then this most recently, the Arrowhead one. Those are really the only ones I've ever been to. So, I mean, Qualcomm, obviously for the experience for the fans, the OG stadium. Arrowhead was great because we were in the box. I'm curious to,
and we won.
We won.
I would be curious to go there again because when we went, it was during COVID, and so it was not a full stadium. And I've always heard that it's one of the loudest stadiums to be in. So
it gets loud.
I have not heard it at full volume. I was at about a 25%, if you will. So I'm curious to go back there to see how loud it gets. But for me,
it gets loud.
It's Qualcomm. That's the place to be. So SoFi, it looks to be freaking amazing. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you, Anchovies. Now we go on to Curtis Jr., who asked the question. What's up, guys? Quick question. Who is your draft crush this year, regardless of the round and position? Mine is Zaven Collins from Tulsa. Please read him as a Jim Carrey voice. Thanks for all you do, fellas. Okay. Love you, bye.
I just remember the scene where it's like, remember when he's got the screen door and goes, ah! Penny Sewell's my crush. That's pretty straightforward. And he's a hard crush because I'm probably not going to get him. Probably not going to get to go to dinner with him. You know what I mean? You feel me? Not going to get to go to the movies.
For me, I mean, my homeboy Avery Williams, at least once he came on the radar, that like immediately piqued my interest. So I'm kind of hoping 7th round I see Avery Williams' name come up. But after watching that Senior Bowl, Quinn Miners, man, that's my like, dude. If we can pick this bad mofo up in like the 2nd or 3rd, like that would be pretty friggin' exciting. I'm definitely keeping my eye on him to see if he shows his mug when it comes to our time to pick. Do you have anybody that's popped up on your radar there, Coach?
No, I'm confused and scared and don't know what's happening anymore.
All right. We'll leave you alone for that one. But thank you, Curtis Jr., for asking the question.
Confused and scared.
We'll move on now to Chimney Crickets, who asked the question.
Well, I personally feel like our line is going in the right direction. And I know, we need to draft O-line in the first, but hear me out. What if we don't? And go for my boy Pitts instead alongside Cook.
Everyone is so like off the offensive tackle chain.
Yeah, it's a shotgun blast. Everyone is all over the place.
No one knows what's up or what's down or what we need or what's a good value. Dude. No one knows nothing. Chimney Crickets.
Yeah, I think if we're re-signing Steven Anderson, if we're signing Jared Cook, I don't see Pitts being the guy that we have our eye on personally.
No, there's some later round guys that I think fit because like right now you have these like weird tight ends where you have like these pass catching tight ends. You don't have these like all around guys. You know what I mean? You don't have like the great run blocker that also catches passes. Like we just lost him to New England. So it would make more sense in a way to wait a little later in the draft and possibly pick up, more of like a tight end that can catch, but is like a beast at blocking. And
Tommy Tremble's been the name kind of floating
Tommy
around.
Tremble, Notre Dame guy, and he's Notre Dame. So that's the guy that makes
he's got
the most
ties
sense.
to us already.
Yeah.
He's already on the radar.
I just feel like the Cook signing kind of put the Pitts thing to bed a little bit. Even though it's a 1-year deal, it still feels like it's probably not.
Yeah, carrying 4 tight ends seems a little heavy.
Not likely. Yeah,
but never know. I mean, like you say, Kyle, if one of those players falls to 13 and that player's name happens to be Pitts,
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we're talking about best player available. That's what I'm saying.
Nothing.
I know, but I'm just saying. If we're talking about not necessarily needing Pitts, but if he, for whatever reason, falls to 13.
Could Tommy T draft Pitts? 100%.
Kyle, do you know?
I don't know nothing.
He doesn't know.
Let's get back to X's and O's. I don't know. Right. Personnel is over my
head. All right. Let's move on now to Daniel Llewellyn, who asked the question. Okay, brochachos. Like, can we rip off the Band-Aids and chat up what we need to be looked at? What veteran options are there to come in and be a backup QB? All right. I mean, come on. Like, I know Alex Smith, but like, who else, right? Like, okay, surf's up. I got to go bounce. Okay, catch you later, Tony Bromo. Yeah, bye.
Tony Bromo. Catch you later, Tony Bromo.
Easton Stick, baby. Come on.
It's hard, man. Like, you're going to need to get another one. I'm against the Alex Smith thing. He's expensive. It doesn't make sense why we would do that if you're all in on Herbert.
It doesn't make sense why he would want, like, he's risking his life every time he goes out there. He's not going to be a backup. Like, he wants to go play if he's going to play.
Risking life and limb to sit on the bench.
It depends on what they want. Do they want somebody to come in there and be a mentor and help them learn the game? Or do they want really somebody viable to come play? Because I feel like if you're in that position, none of these guys necessarily are going to be that much better than Easton Stick. You know what I mean? Like
they're going to cost more.
Some of the top 5 guys are you're looking at Alex Smith, Chase Daniel, AJ McCarron, Colt McCoy, and RG3. None of those guys are really blowing the doors down.
It doesn't feel like we need to spend the money to get those guys. I mean, I think Kyle was talking about it in one of the previous episodes. Like, Herbert doesn't necessarily need to be mentored. Like, we saw what he can do in the first season.
He's got coaches.
And he's got coaches. Like,
I don't know. You don't sign a backup quarterback to like win games. You sign him to like service the team until you get back to winning form with your starter.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're not signing a backup to make a bunch of money and win a bunch of games. You sign a guy to like service,
to be ready to go.
Yeah. And Easton Stick, I don't know. I feel like Easton Stick could do that.
Yeah. Somebody posted his highlights of like his preseason when we had a preseason, and he like torched up one of those games. He was running all over the place, making throws. So
he was exciting. I'm still excited for Easton's sake. I'm not hard with naysaying him.
It's hard with the quarterback position because the backup guys, you're not seeing much. You don't know what's going on. You don't know how well they're doing. Especially last year, there was no preseason. We didn't see any of these guys.
Right.
So like, do you want to pick up a 35-year-old Colt McCoy, a 35-year-old Chase Daniel, a 37-year-old Alex Smith? Like,
I don't know. Or you draft another one late. You know,
you compete.
Sure. Yeah. You pick up a Kellen Mond, a Texas A&M guy. You pick up in the 5th round and see what happens.
If even
let him compete.
Yeah.
You know,
we'll see what happens. But I think it's a good question, Daniel. Appreciate it.
It's probably going to be addressed. So it's a good it's a good topic to talk about.
Absolutely. Next, we move on to Ghost, who asked the question.
Coke or Pepsi? Oh, bet you didn't see that coming.
Coke.
Yep, we're a Coke podcast.
We're sponsored by Coke. Yeah, where's that?
Yeah. Hopefully Pepsi wasn't just emailing us about a sponsorship. But Coke,
if you were, kick rocks, Pepsi. We're not interested.
Not interested. I only support things I can get behind, and can't get behind you, Pepsi.
No, it's Coke all the way. Coke Zero.
Just kidding. Hit us up.
Yeah, really.
Kidding, but not.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ghost, for the very in-depth question. Next, we move on to Danny Lowy, who asked the question. I'm an episode behind, so you may have answered this, but I've been wondering, what do you think happens to single-season records when we go to 17 games? Do Herbie's records stay?
This is a good
great question.
Yes, because he goes down in the history books forever.
Yeah.
It can't be beat. You can't beat a record with 17 games that was done in 16 games.
This is honestly like, I think he's locked in forever, right, guys?
Yeah. You go down as Hall of Famer.
Yeah, there'll be a little asterisk or something next to a record.
Sure shit.
I honestly, this is like one of my favorite questions we've gotten. Like,
Danny, where you been all our lives, man?
Yeah, is it Danny? That's just the pronunciation. But thank you so much for listening and for this awesome question, because we didn't really have to answer it because it's in your face. The answer's there. And Herbert is officially the rookie of the year forever for the 16
game rookie of the world.
So did that pass? Did the 17 game pass? And
not yet. They haven't voted on it yet.
Okay,
it's coming up. It's on the table, but
it's still on the table.
It'll probably happen tomorrow before we upload this, and now we'll look like idiots.
And we'll see all the comments like, you guys are fucking.
But
that age, bro.
Like, where do you think the asterisk goes on the records? Does it go on the previous one or the new one? Probably the new one, right?
Well, if it's the new one going forward, then that's what the expectation is going forward. I
so
think.
the asterisk is on the old one. Yeah. I never even thought of that. Like that's going to throw all the PFF grades completely off.
Yeah.
No one will know what's happening.
Equations are thrown out the
A's
window.
or C's, C's or F's, F's or G's.
Tommy T and Danny are really mind messing us.
They are. I think the rookie then will just be in how many games was the record set.
In the 16.
I mean, right now he's got the season record, and now if the season changes to 17, it's going to be like, well, how many games did he
Wouldn't
do
that dope if he still held it even with the extra game for like a long time? How cool would that be?
It would be great. There's really no reason why he shouldn't.
This question, you know what it is? It's like a warm cup of soup. Like it just feels warm going down, and like thinking about it, it tastes good. You know,
it warms my soul. It's chicken soup for the Chargers' soul. Excellent. All right, now we move on to Mark, who asked the question. This may be an overcomplicated scenario, but how would you feel about trading back and picking a OT if we don't like any at 13, then using that capital to trade back into the first for Asante Samuel Jr.?
I could this out of the top two scenarios, this seems like the most the easiest one. Stay where you are, pick, or do this. It seems like the most obvious. Then my favorite, move up for Penny.
Which I don't think will happen.
No, it won't.
But we're still going to
keep talking about it.
Okay, so let's come to a consensus. I think if the top three tackles aren't there, I do think we trade back if we get the right package,
right,
to be able to pick up our tackle and fill another need either early second or late first. I don't know if we trade back into the first, but at least get early second. I think we could still get Asante Samuel there.
Totes and goats.
Yeah, every time we talk about trading back, I imagine us trading out of the first round, but really it could just be trading down a couple spots and picking up some extra draft capital later on down the line.
Right.
So
what would that package be like? Like heavy, light? Like what kind of package do you think?
A heavy package.
It's got to be heavy. Yeah.
Heavy.
Moving to Tony Salazar, who asked the question. Like Zoink Scoob, not a question, but y'all should do a full mock draft on the podcast.
Agreed, and we will, and
and it'll be full of errors and mistakes
and trade backs
and emotionally driven decisions.
Exactly, that's the way you get it from us. But everyone's been doing them, so we figured we'd kind of,
let dust
them
settle a little
doing
bit.
them.
Smoke
and
settle.
We want to find out more of who is on our team, like what free agents we've signed.
Right.
So in the next couple weeks, we're going to get into those, and
it'll probably be
fun.
1 or 2 weeks out from the draft, so we know all the pieces that are going into it.
We'll get into it. Who knows? We might see some special guests. We'll see what's going on.
Ooh, nice tease. I like it.
Ooh.
All right. Thank you, Tony. And now we move on over into Reddit, and we started off with an old favorite, Touch of Phallus.
Hey.
Who asked the question?
Hey.
So we lost Hunter Henry to Darth Sidious. Shit. Your thoughts on the $12.5 million he's getting paid now that we have Jared Cook? Outside of Pitts, are there any other tight ends in the draft of note, or do we bring back the mongrel, Steven Anderson? Well, hello there. Steven Anderson. He's back, baby.
Woof, woof, right?
Yeah. I think we've already kind of talked about it. The discount that we got in getting Jared Cook comparatively to the 12.5 mil.
If he even has a comparable season next year to touchdown or yardage, you're looking at Tommy T pulled a good one essentially on that one, at least for that year. But there's a lot of the 4 big ones are Pitts, Pat Fryermuth from Penn State, Brevin Jordan from Miami, Florida, and Tommy Tremble, our Notre Dame guy. So I think there's so much need to be addressed, like in the first 3 rounds.
Tight end no longer is that.
Yeah, I think a 3rd or 4th round Tommy Tremble, if he's still there, that makes sense. But I don't know. That's how I feel about it. I don't think the Pitts thing's happening now with the Cook.
Yeah, with the Cook and the Anderson pickup or re-signing.
But I like Tommy Tremble. He's like
Tommy
a
Tremble
monster.
feels good. Like that at least.
It's a fun name too.
It's a great name. It's right up there with Storm Norton.
Yeah, Tommy T drafts Tommy T. Come on.
Oh, that would be crazy.
Well, and they got in terms of Tommy Tremble, I pulled a few stats. Like the man is the single best blocker on the move in the draft class, whether that's a fullback, halfback, inline, or from the slot. Tremble wants to locate and destroy.
Ooh.
His 83.7 run blocking grade this season was the highest of any tight end in the country. So
wow.
Hey, I'll take if he's the best at that and available at 4. I'll take the best of something at 4.
Yeah, there's no reason why we shouldn't.
Or 3, one of our 3s.
Notre Dame is a school that we like to dip our toes in, and Tommy Tremble as a tight end. We've already talked about we've already got 3 on the roster, but there's no reason why you shouldn't bring in somebody to create that competition, or to be the one that learns under Cook for a year while we have him on that veteran contract. So. We'll see what happens, but it's a great question. So thank you, Touch of Phallus. Yeah. Next, we move on to YNWA Dad, who asked the question.
Wait, can you sing the song?
You never walk alone. You never walk alone. Hey!
Still not right. You guys didn't research it.
All right, here's the question. It goes a little something like this. Enough is enough. Assuming Slater is off the board, which would you most like to see the Chargers take at 13? Vera Tucker, Darisaw, K, love you, bye. I'll say Vera Tucker. I'll say it.
If you had to pick one and you couldn't trade back, is this the scenario we're playing in?
Yeah.
Because I think Cosme's there late. I don't think he's gonna go anywhere close to 13. So I think if you could turn that 13 pick into a late first and an early second.
That's not we just agreed You can't trade back in this scenario, Kyle. Quit trying to trade back.
This scenario, I have to. So basically, you're just saying who's the best of those three.
Of these three.
Yeah, of these three.
Okay. You have to pick one. You have to pick.
I don't like being put in a corner and I have to do something.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
I trade back.
Nobody puts baby in his corner. Nobody puts coach in his corner.
I trade back. No, I trade up.
Yeah, he doesn't
trade up. I trade
Kyle,
out.
do you know? Kyle, do you know?
Do I know what?
Do you know?
No, you don't know?
The Muffin Man?
Muffin Man going in the second. All right.
I'm going Darisaw.
There you go.
He's a tackle, and I want to tackle. I know the Vera Tucker's exciting, but he's kind of a tackle guard, and we have a couple of those hybrid guys already. So
why not all of them be hybrid? You just every play you play like musical chairs.
They break
you
the
like
huddle
shift them
and they're
all
in a
around.
different spot.
You never know. Yeah,
you never know.
That's
you
kind of fun.
Never know. You never
walk
alone. All right. Now we go on to Z the King 1, who asked the question.
With the Chargers not signing any cornerback during free agency, how likely do you think we will target a CB in the first round of the draft? And what will we do at left tackle since Tevy was an undrafted free agent this offseason, and we still haven't brought him back yet?
Tevy, you are not our future.
Decent Vader. Yeah,
that was good.
Tevy's gone. Good question. I know we run into this all the time where we talk about stuff.
Yeah, it happens to us
immediately
too, guys.
after you.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Tevy's gone. So yeah, I'm thinking draft him. Free agency, I think it's a similar thing. There's still some guys out there that are stopgaps.
There's still guys.
You could get some. We have 9 picks.
Yeah.
Just because, like we just keep saying, like the first and second round doesn't mean they can't be starters. You just got to get the right coach, which
just at certain positions, and got to get those right guys. Which honestly, we haven't had a huge amount of success in those middle rounds as of late.
Yeah.
So we need to do better this year with the amount of picks that we have there, with 2/3. And a pick in every other round. We need to hit on that 3rd through 5 round range. But we did Mike. So technically Mike Davis was a free agent that we signed, but we haven't replaced Casey Hayward. So we do need to address it. We have depth there, and those other guys, the Tevon Campbells and all those guys, those are great for, special teams guys. But
Faison, which we didn't mention, we brought him back as well. Dante Vaughn, John Brannon, those guys are there, but
I don't feel comfortable winning a bunch of games
those aren't
with those
necessarily
guys
like
as the starters.
The big names. Those are the guys that come in, to the
and Chris
rotational
Harris.
pieces.
Chris Harris
Absolutely.
is still in there. Yeah. So I do think it gets addressed in the draft. When I don't think we're in a position to need to reach to take a corner at 13 if that guy didn't fall or if there's still a tackle on the board, but it will get addressed.
There you go. Thank you, Z the King 1. Now we move on to Kanyeezy 96, who asked the question. Oh, hey, bros, I'm back. Oh, man. Oh, man, this is sure. I was just over there, but now I'm back over here. That's crazy. All right. Here's the question. The O-line looks pretty good on paper, bro, with the exception of a left tackle. Would you guys rather go with A, sign the big dude Villanueva to a 1-year deal and draft a young wave rider in the second round, maybe a Jalen Mayfield, or how about a Wyatt Davis? Say we move on from Balaga next year, or knock on my surfboard, he gets injured mid-season, so the filer moves to right tackle and Davis debuts at right guard. Whoa! Up to you dudes who'd we draft in the first. Or B, we don't sign a free agent tackle. Sledgehammer Slater hopefully drops to us at 13, and we draft a corner in the second round. Sorry for the long reads, dude. Keep riding, baby, and bolt up.
You're a man possessed when you do that.
I have to.
Your
silly.
surfer one is good.
Mine, man. I like
yeah, we might
B.
bring some video to this, folks. If we can get up to 1,000 subscribers,
you can see him in the
You might
act.
see me be
In
as
the act.
Man possessed.
Yeah.
Catch him in the act.
You'll see one bald-headed fat guy losing his mind in at least part of this podcast. podcast.
For about 3/4 of the podcast when you make up these awesome voices. He literally does go into like a different zone. He zones out and just goes into this character.
Oh shit!
All right.
I want B.
Big long question.
I'm just gonna A.
There's too many if, ands, or buts.
I want B. I'm gonna go B.
A.
I don't know if this was an A or B option, but B. I like Slater a lot. He's my second favorite. But then
what has happened with Slater being like, should we take him at 13 to now being, is he available at 13?
I don't know that he. I mean, I think the talk is going to be, is he going to be available? Because
he just had a huge pro day.
Yeah,
he looked like a monster. So
yeah, we all saw the video of him doing the big squat. I don't know how much weight was on that.
Yeah,
on that
he looked
bar, but
he looked really mad at his like strength coach. He about near shoved him out the gym and then did this crazy front squat.
But it's like that underwear Olympics thing where people get bumped up if they run a good 40. And it doesn't matter that you run a good 40 if you're a lineman, but he did, and it looks like he's going to move up.
Don't steal him from us.
Yeah.
Stop it. I know.
I would like Slater. I think he would be a great
Slater in a second round
excited.
cornerback would be awesome.
Yeah.
Or a pass rusher in the second. Like there's a lot of needs. But I think tackle at 13 is just what the organization desperately needs to do.
We will see when it comes to draft day, but thank you, Kanyeezy, for bringing back the surfer bra. Now we move on to the glorious end, who makes a request. I'll do my best. It goes something like this.
With the Chargers having such a strong lineage of great players at key positions, have you ever wondered why some players just haven't seemed to develop? Feeney flamed out, not a fan of Pipkins, and guys like Minka just outright disappear. Wouldn't you think it would be easy for John Spanos to pick up the damn phone and convince past greats to come spend time mentoring these young guys because they see potential in them? Seems like a friggin' waste of resources not to have the legends teach the younger generation of Chargers what it means to be one and how to elevate their game. Coaches can only do so much. Fucking unbelievable how good your podcast is, and if any wise guys come along giving you problems, I'm gonna have to give them problems. Okay, love you, bye.
That was my best Joe Pesci. Jesus Christ.
That was another time where he literally contorted his face. His jaw was hanging off the side of his head.
Blood rushed to my face.
Yeah, you're very red right now. I liked that. That was solid. Take away all of his pencils. Remember in Casino when he stabs the guy in the neck with a pencil? Like, take the pencils away from Adam. He's getting crazy.
I'm getting fired up.
That was good. Well, thank you for the kind words. And
yeah,
we'll let you know if we need you to get heavy on somebody. We'll definitely reach out.
If we need to whack somebody.
I don't know, Kyle. What do you think about culture? You probably have a better insight on this than we do.
Actually, I think your dad probably has a better insight on this than we do.
Yeah, Dave definitely is listening to see how we respond to this.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm going to step out of this one.
I'm tired of him yelling at us.
Yeah.
Just kidding. He does it. Positive reinforcement.
No, I try to think on the great organizations. You know, those organizations that are constantly good, right? The Patriots, the Steelers, these teams that are they're always good. They're always in it. They're always competing. And yeah, they have those greats and they have guys in the organization. And I'm sure they do. They come in and have a talk here and there. What more? We have LT on payroll. Like, we have those guys around, but that's not what it is. Like, that's
Merriman's always around.
Yeah, I hear you, and I wish that was the fix all. But I don't think that it is. I think that a lot of it does come from coaches. A lot of people want to blame coaches for a lot of things. But the culture and motivating guys and finding the best in players, and putting guys in the right spots, that's what a coach is supposed to do. And I think what my dad would say, and I agree with, I think a lot of it comes from the ownership. I think a lot of this the culture of the team is a trickle-down effect from the top. And I don't think that we do a great job of that. I don't think we've created an environment where people always, and I don't want to say this, but I do feel like there's almost a little bit of a culture that people don't always want to come back and contribute a lot. Like some of our greats, like the Rodney Harrisons, one of my favorite players all time growing up, it was Junior Seau and Rodney Harrison. And like, he went to the Patriots and won several Super Bowls, and he's on, I don't know if it's Sunday Night Football. He's like on like the in between before Sunday Night Football. And he never has a good thing to say about the Chargers. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that has to do with the ownership. So
same with Danny Woodhead and
Slauson. Their podcast does not shed positive light on the Chargers. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that go into that with developing players, and a lot of it lands on the player, man. Be a guy that has a drive and a desire to be better. We see what Derwin James is putting out there. Already has proven himself as a great player in the league, but he's coming back from 2 years injured, and he's like, look, show up or shut up. Like, put in the time.
Right.
Anytime someone's signing something or being announced or has an interview, Derwin seems to be at the facilities. Right. Like, he's always like interrupting an interview to like, hey, congrats.
Just lingering around the hallway, just like, so like, anything going on in here? All right.
He misses football so much, he just has a cot in there.
Yeah. A lot of the development of players, I think it has to land on the guy. Like, you're a pro now. This is not high school football where you need to develop these guys. Like, they're grown men that it is a business for them. They need to step up and develop as players. So you can't put the blame all on one thing, but it definitely needs to improve. I agree on that.
Mm-hmm. We'll see if bringing in this entire fresh new coaching staff has any impact on that possible culture change. And we very well might see it as young as they are. This might bring a new, fresh, young perspective into this organization. But we'll find out. So great question, Glorious End. Always good to hear from you. Next.
Such a Phallic and Glorious End. Two of our most loyal.
These guys, I love these names. Next, we move on to Apples RG, who asks a fantastic question.
Can I get a Derwin James autographed jersey?
Sure, I'm sure it's pretty expensive, but you do you, Apples RG.
Yeah, we're not the podcast.
We haven't given away a goddamn thing yet. So, I mean, hey, if you're buying, man, I'll take one too.
Yeah, I'll take one too. Yeah, hit me up.
I think you can get them. They're out there. Yeah.
Oh man, that's such a bad teacher joke, guys. Like hey, can I go to the bathroom?
I don't know. Can you?
Can you?
No, that's so bad. No, sorry,
right.
Apples.
Apples,
RG.
it's all right, man. We love you. Moving on to LeBronzo BBB, who asks another great long question. Clowney?
Okay, here's my thing with Clowney. He's exciting because of the name, and he was he was a massive draft pick in his year.
Sure.
Like, he was like the guy that's going to come out and change
because he had that one hit in the Outback Bowl.
Yeah, and then he bet on himself this last year. Did not go well. When he had like a whole bunch of available contracts to do all the stuff, he's like, I'm gonna go out, have a great season. I don't even think he had a sack last year, so I don't know. This doesn't seem like a guy many people want to keep around or is really that productive right now. So it's exciting in the name. It's a funny name, but it's exciting in the name. Honk honk, but it's not my favorite. Like, we need one, and maybe like we're so desperate at the end, like, oh, he's available, he'll take $5 million. Okay, come on in. But
I mean, if the price is right, I'm not opposed to it, because we do still need that position. We still need a guy in that spot, and if Ingram doesn't come back, Clowney could very well sign a very similar deal to what Cook signed, and just get that, cheap 1-year contract.
Well, and a down year, right? Cap's down. People don't have all this money to spend. If he comes on we paid Joey
off an injured season.
We paid Joey Bosa $27 million a year.
Yeah.
If this guy's willing to take something in that like $5 million range, let's go.
Right.
Like he's still a talent, and
the $32 million rush.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think for us, the outside linebacker is the biggest need as far as pass rush is concerned. Have a guy a little bit more dynamic. Clowney would be more of a defensive end, not really able to drop in coverage or give us that kind of dynamic ability. So I don't see that panning out for us.
We'll see what happens. We've seen stranger things happen, but great question. Appreciate it. LeBronzo BBB. And we go out on Okie Doggy.
Okie Doggy.
Who asked the question. With everything that is going on in free agency, we are slowly seeing which direction the team will go in the draft. but at the same time, we are also all seeing where other teams will go as well. So I have a two-part question, so forgive me. If the following players were there when the team is on the clock, Caleb Farley corner, Christian Derisar left tackle, Kyle Pitts tight end, Elijah Vera Tucker guard tackle, and J.C. Horn corner, who would you want the team to draft? And for the second part, if we were going with a lineman in the first round, would you want someone who has played left tackle for a long time, like Sewell or Derisar, or would you want someone who has played multiple positions, including left tackle, but hasn't really called that position their own yet, like Vera Tucker or Slater?
Very formulated question, Okie Dog.
Big, deep question.
Bullet points. That was good.
He prepared this for us.
So first part of those 5 guys that he listed, who would you want? Just pick a name.
I want Derisar.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Derisar too.
Yeah, and as far as the guard tackle, what you're specifically, I don't really care. I don't care as much about if you've played guard and tackle or if you've only played tackle. If you're being drafted at 13, you're being drafted as a left tackle. We're not going to bump you down to guard if somebody gets hurt. So you are a left tackle if that's where we're taking you there. But in my opinion, I would prefer a Derisar as opposed to a Elijah Vera Tucker, who he played well at tackle this year in a COVID condensed short season with a lot of people opting out. So I don't know if we got to, and he played well, but I just don't know if there was enough there to be like, yeah, I want this guy as 13, the future of our franchise at left tackle, at the 13 pick. If we got him later and we trade back, which of course there's so many different scenarios, those guys, I want Derisar.
Okay.
I concur.
I think I concur as well. I like Elijah Vera Tucker. I think I like the move, but I think you make a good point. You're not going to see a tackle go to guard. If anything, you might see a guard get moved out to tackle in an injury type situation, right?
No, I think the left tackle is such a valuable position that there's not many backups. Like there's not a guy you could toss in there and play left tackle.
Gotcha.
If you play left tackle, you play left tackle. If you play left tackle, you could play guard, but there's not many guards that could play left tackle. So
right.
It's just a very, I don't know. At 13, you need to tackle. You don't need a guy that's going to do both.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks. That's going to do it for us here at Charger Chat. Thank you all, Bolt fam. You guys make these episodes so long, but I love it because we have so many good laughs. We always walk away from this feeling warm because this is, as we mentioned, it's chicken soup for the Charger's soul.
Charger's soul.
So thank you all for making it what it is. It wouldn't be a podcast without you. We'll see you all next week. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye.
Gay love you, bye.
Take his pencils.
Give me that pencil.
And now, a word from our sponsors. Come on down to Tom Telesco's Country Buffet, where we have a wide range of delicious country-style favorites. The difference here is just because you want it doesn't mean you're going to get it. We here at Tom Telesco's Country Buffet believe in giving you the best food for you, not the food you want. Do you know when they'll bring out another tray of potatoes?
I'm not going to really get into what we may or may not do.
Excuse me, could you tell me what's in the gravy?
I think you got to keep all doors open at this point.
Are we too late for the early bird special?
We're looking to try and build the best balanced football team we can.
What?
Tom Telesco's Country Buffet. We don't give you the food you want, but the food you deserve.